All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing tonight? Tonight we are on a very special episode tonight of the New England Patriots. We're going to talk about their all-time lineup, and first we're going to bring in the guy on our team. What the? Oh, sorry. I had the YouTube playing as I was going. Jesus, crummy fudge. Anyway. We're going to bring in our guest up in Boston this evening, and I'm going to bring him in with his intro so everyone can get to see Tom and Quincy. Let's do it.
There is one thing I like about it. I'll just tell you in 1 second, though. First of all, Tom and Quincy, you looking forward to the Red Sox in London?
No, I'm aggravated to hell by the whole thing, to be honest with you. Because I remember when they released the schedule and that they were going over there, like, this is the stupidest thing ever, right? So the thing that kind of pisses me off, it's like, this should have been in like an exhibition game in March.
Totally.
Not
What's happening, Tom?
What's up, dude?
Not
been
bad.
It's been a bit
this evening.
I'm doing good. Trying to get back in the swing of this thing, man.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear the horse is getting back on. You know what I mean?
We're trying.
You did a little segment in the gate the other day. How was that?
It was cool because it was last minute. I got the tickets a little late, so getting people together to go. Of course, you get free seats. No one's ever available. So you have to make do with when they can get there. So, luckily, Brad and Dawn Marie met me, but it was already after 4. And then getting in there and then getting in the seats and stuff. So once I got in, it was fine. It was just the initial getting the plan together after the seats, you had to go through the digital tickets and stuff. So, but yeah, everything worked out. It was a good time. I got there, it was 5-zip.
Nice.
So yeah, it's never bad things when you get free Sox tickets, especially seats like that.
No, and I'm sure your audience cannot wait to hear you get back on the microphone as well and get out there. I know I'm anxious. I love hearing you talk, and it's good stuff. So that's what we're waiting for.
We'll be getting more and more done.
Let's do it.
But
how about we do?
I wish we had more good baseball to talk about, but that doesn't look very promising. So it's like we're focusing on the past going forward.
All right. Well, let's bring in our other two guests. We're going to bring in Brendan. What's up, man?
Going on?
How's
it going?
We're doing good. You?
Doing good. Happy to be here. I like talking sports with Tom. It's time to put a microphone out there.
There you go.
I like it. All right, we're gonna bring in our last guest, Mr. Tyler. How are you tonight, sir?
What's up, Tyler?
You're on mute, buddy.
There we go. So, how's everyone doing? Glad to be on the show today.
Doing good.
On.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Tyler, what's up with you, my man?
Nothing much. Living life. I'm a flight instructor here in Pennsylvania, so just doing that and getting ready for the NFL season.
Brendan, what about you, man? What do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I'm an electrician, and I like to drink and talk sports with Tom and other guys. Mainly Pat's guy. Baseball, been busy this year. Kind of fell off the interest wagon. But I like talking football, so I'm ready.
All right. Well, I'm sure we're going to go over the all-time lineup. I'm sure everyone's got Steve Grogan as their starting quarterback, correct?
Yeah, he's right there.
I didn't even know the Patriots had other quarterbacks besides Tom Brady. It's kind of hard to pass that one up,
Bledsoe, my man.
You going Bledsoe? I mean, Bledsoe doesn't get hurt. We don't meet Tony Romo or Tom Brady.
There are some people up here that resent Brady based on the Bledsoe injury, though. So, I have a friend who's like Bledsoe's like his favorite Patriot ever, and it blows my mind every time he's ever said it to me. I'm like, there's no way you really think that, you know. And but yeah, he's like, Bledsoe didn't get hurt. You never would even heard Tom Brady's name, and I'm like, I don't know, man. It's kind of tough to say that he wouldn't have done anything.
Pick it up with Mo Lewis.
You know.
I mean, the guy's thrown for 74,517 yards as a Patriot.
It's insane. Every year you see the numbers, and it's like, it's insanity. You know, it's like it doesn't look real. It's like video game numbers. But he keeps kicking through, man. He keeps plugging along, which is pretty impressive. I never thought that when he said he played a 45, I think everyone's like, yeah, okay. But here he is, still going, you know?
Oh, he owns the most Super Bowl rings by any individual, I believe.
Yeah.
And team-wise.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, does everyone have Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
I know he was only there for 2 years, but I went Curtis Martin as one of my running backs and Sam Cunningham.
Sam Bam.
Nice. Yeah, I went with Brady and I went with Curtis Martin. And then I was up in the air with the second one between, and it was basically based on the last 20 years. And I had a hard time going between Falk and White. And I don't know, like White just seemed like he did more, or it was more noticeable in the big games that he played in. And I know he's the most recent, so it's probably more on my mind. But I went with overall I went with Falk, but White was right there with him because I think that if you're going to include a running back, you got to include a pass catch and running back like they had. That's all.
Yeah, I was actually on that same fence with you, Kevin Falk and James White. I decided to go James White.
Yep.
Maybe it's because I'm a little younger and I saw more of the Brady years. Well, Kevin Falk was part of the Brady years too, but more recently, I thought James White was such an integral part of their late Super Bowl years, maybe part of the second dynasty. Honestly, seemed like Tom Brady's favorite target. Through the past, 6 or 7 years that he was here in New England. It just felt like every single game he was making the big play in the wheel route or an angle route. Not to mention he was a great third down running back, out of the shotgun too. He was not just a good pass catcher, he could run the football between the tackles too, which was so undervalued. He did it all the time over at Wisconsin, and it really translated in the NFL, so that's why he got the number 2 spot for me.
Tough to go wrong with either one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had White over Falk too, but I love Kevin Falk obviously, but White was just like big plays, big moments, could do it all. So I went with White, but I also had Corey Dillon in there. I know he was kind of a one-year wonder, but God, he was just unbelievable in that 04 year.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah,
really
he was a freak show.
Yeah, he was dominant. And then I had a little honorable mention because I like LeGarrette Blount. And I didn't even realize he had like 19 touchdowns.
He had a pretty solid stay here.
And he got a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Got 2 here, one with Philly.
And he's kind of a lunatic, which we always appreciate.
And he walked out on Pittsburgh, straight to Foxborough.
He sure did walk out on Pittsburgh.
Yes, he did. He really did.
He gets bonus for that.
He sure did. 4 wide receivers. I went Stanley Morgan. I went Wes Welker. I went Terry Glenn and Randy Moss.
I got 3 of the same. I got 3 of those 4 that you just picked. I put Troy Brown in that.
Yeah.
Troy Brown.
You can't leave Troy Brown out for returning punts or kickoffs for that matter.
Yeah, that's a hard name to leave off the list. Phenomenal in my mind.
I had Troy Brown, Julian Edelman, Randy Moss, and Welker.
Yeah, I went Edelman for so many reasons. Because, I just loved how he played. For a guy not very big, like the beating he took, and would keep on kicking.
Was he 5'8", Tom?
Yeah, he's like 5'9", maybe, but just tough as hell. I mean,
Always
especially
looked bigger with those cleats on.
Big
that
games,
Seattle
big
game
moments.
when Cam Chancellor knocked him into next year, and he thought he was in St. Louis. Like he didn't even, and he still got it back in and played. The guy was tough as nails, So I had Edelman, I had Troy Brown as well. I had Stanley Morgan, and I really loved Deion Branch, but I had to go with Welker, even though Welker never won a title here, a championship here. His numbers are ridiculous, though. It's pretty hard. I mean, he had like a couple seasons, he had like 120 catches and stuff. I'm like, Jesus. So I went Edelman, Brown, Stanley Morgan, and Wes Welker for those four.
Mm-hmm.
Who the hell is Matthew Slater?
Oh my God.
He's the special teams captain.
I was like, how has this guy made 10 Pro Bowls? But it had to be special teams. And
Yeah.
He's the
goat.
gunner. He's the gunner on
core.
pickups.
He's
Greatest
the
of all
core.
time.
He's the heart and soul of that team. He has been
He
for like
is.
the past 10 years.
Yeah,
I was just wondering. It just drew me off, blew my mind. I was like, why is this guy?
I think the role that he plays on that team goes far beyond what he does on the field.
Mm-hmm.
He's like an inspirational guy. He's like
Been here since like 08.
he's been here for like 15 years or something. But yeah, he makes the Pro Bowl every year on special teams. He's listed as a wide receiver. He's very rarely used in the.
He has one catch in his career.
Seriously, like he doesn't play it. But his role is more how
So
important.
this is a guy that might make the Hall of Fame as a special teamist.
That's what they say. Because they talk now. Because I remember when I was younger, you never heard about like people on special teams coverage making
Well,
them.
that's why I said, who the hell is this guy?
But
His dad's a Hall of Famer.
They
He's
say
like the
now
tall-
Steve Taska and Slater would be, if you're gonna get those guys
Larry
in, those
Izzo.
would be the ones.
He's like the Tom Brady of special teams. If you're a
He
special
really
teamer, you
He
came to
is.
New England to play special teams with this guy.
Hey, and they
He's
keep
a folk hero around here.
You're Ross Ventrone or someone, you came here to play with them for sure.
Yeah, no, he's on his role is far more important what he does in the locker room than it is actually on the field, I think. And that's why they keep him around.
Yeah, he breaks down the team after each game. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, he's a big part of the locker room, and that goes beyond, the field.
Yep.
All right, so we got everyone's wide receivers listed. Any other honorable mentions in the wide receiver field?
N'Keal Harry.
One has been mentioned.
Nicky.
I was looking like Stanley Morgan averaged like nearly 20 yards of reception for his whole career.
Yeah,
which
it was
is
ridiculous.
insane.
It was like 19-7 or something like that.
He had 67 touchdowns, 10,352 yards.
Yeah, 19.4 yards.
That's
Mhm.
wild.
Crazy.
Yeah, I had him at number 1 on my list.
Yep, he's on mine. Yep.
Yeah, on mine too.
So Deion Branch probably would have been the honorable mention for me. But yeah, I mean, David Givens was good for a few years, but just not a standout player.
You didn't have Doug Gabriel?
No Doug Gabriel, no Ray Shelley Caldwell.
Rest in peace.
Well, yeah. Who's the other kid?
I'm the only one that went Terry Glenn, huh?
I didn't go Terry Glenn.
Terry Glenn was a problem child here.
Yeah,
He got like sent away from the team in 01.
Jabbar Gaffney was pretty good here for a little while.
I loved Jabbar Gaffney.
Jabbar, geez, I haven't heard that name probably in a while.
You didn't hear it that much up here either, Adam. Don't worry about it.
All right. Moving on to tight ends. I mean, obviously Gronk
Yeah.
can't go wrong there.
Nope.
Now he's doing underwear ads apparently.
Yeah, I did see that.
Modeling for Tom Brady's TB12. Is that what that?
He'll do
line's
whatever
called?
Brady asks him to do.
anyone else not pick Rob Gronkowski as one of their 2 tight ends.
No,
Yeah, he's on there.
obviously.
Just checking. I went Ben Coates.
Yeah.
Yep. I had a feeling
yeah.
everyone may have put him in there too.
Oh, we all went the same. Wow. Okay. All right.
Ben
Coates
Coates
Coates was a
ridiculous.
beast.
Yeah.
He was an absolute beast back then.
87. Huge.
Oh my God, he was a
Still
bad
see
man.
87 jerseys around.
Oh yeah, yeah. No kidding.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't look at it like that. I remember playing Madden, and my buddy was able to do the A-B combination and make a guy named JB Blaze, and he was a running back for the Patriots, and you couldn't stop him. It was like, he ran like a 4.2. You couldn't stop him, and it was a video game, so they never got tired.
True.
I wanted to bring that up as a mention, I guess.
Is nobody going to mention the other tight end?
Aaron
Aaron
Hernandez.
He would have been up there.
Yeah, he really was talented. That's the thing about it. You know, say what you want about the end of his life, but
Yeah,
really talented tight end. I mean, he could catch just about anything thrown in his vicinity, and he could
They
run
were
out
just
the
like-
catch too.
They were just starting to scratch the surface with how they're going to use him too. And like the playoffs against Denver, they had him at running back, and oh man,
Yeah,
he was only like 23 when that all went down.
He
That's
honestly
crazy.
reminded me kind of like a Kyle Pitts, just not maybe as good as Kyle Pitts is now, but
right.
in a sense of just
Yeah.
a freakish athlete that could do everything for you.
Yeah, I think it's with guys like that. You know, it's like, oh man, what could have been.
Yeah,
You know, if they just all the talent in the world, but just no fucking head on their shoulders whatsoever. All the talent, though, man, them two together. If they could have had those two for as long as Gronk was here, if they were together for that time, who the hell knows what
They might have had another one.
what the hell would that kid would have done? You know, it's a shame. You know, you see all this talent pissed away in that league so often. I mean, he went above and beyond a lot of the other guys that have fucked up. I mean, don't get me wrong, but the talent was through the fucking roof with him, man. Like, that's a shame that he went down that road for real.
absolutely.
And I'd say that no matter what team he was on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Even if he was a Patriot, you know. Think of Lawrence Phillips and all these other jackasses that come through the league. You know, pissing away the talent like that is just something I never will comprehend.
Well, I mean, that all probably started back in the Florida days too.
Well, because they
those
enabled him to do it.
I mean,
You know,
that whole
Urban Meyer, he's the king of enabling everyone to do whatever they wanted down there.
that roster was just hilarious to look
Oh
at.
my
That Florida
God.
team.
looking back on it now, you got Tim Tebow, one of the biggest Christian Catholic
Yeah.
people in the world.
Yep.
And then he's playing with two murder. Well, there was another guy too, right? Another guy that got convicted of murder off of that team.
Oh, probably. The name escapes me, but I bet.
They had Cam Newton on the bench too, didn't they?
Yeah, that's when you went to Auburn from there.
Yep.
Anyway, all right, off of the Aaron Hernandez conversation.
Yeah, we'll do murderers another time.
Yeah.
NFL murders.
Get your list ready.
Offensive lineman, who'd you guys go with?
I think you gotta go with Hannah.
I went with
I
Hannah.
never really saw Hannah play, but like from what I read about him and stuff. But guy I want to give a shout out, my favorite was Matt Light.
Yeah,
my guy.
I think it
That's exactly who I put.
Yep. Bruce Armstrong was up there for me too. It's tough to talk about their line without Hannah just because of how dominant he was at the guard position, not even at the tackle position. So, and he looking back, he wasn't. Those guys weren't the size of these guys now. It's not like the Dallas line that they were rolling out there in the 70s in the NFL. You know.
I agree.
I mean, he's probably. I bet you Gronkowski weighs more than John Hannah did
Oh, sure.
back then. You know, so for what he did and to be that dominant, out of that position. I mean, that's what they talk about, the Quentin Nelson kid, and there was at Ragnow too. I think he's another one on the Colts. All these guys that are in that inside offensive line, they're all compared to Hannah. You know, the tackles are compared to Munoz and Ogden and those guys, and then the interior guys are compared to Hannah.
He had like a Sports Illustrated cover, like best offensive lineman of all time.
Yeah. So it's tough to try to put someone in that all-time list above him. But I understand the Matt Light for sure, because he had to deal with Jason Taylor twice a year. And that was no fun for him.
Freeney too. Freeney and Mathis.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He also Hannah also anchored the line from 73 to 85. That's the 1900s, by the way.
Yeah. Right.
7 times Pro Bowler, 3 second-time teams. I mean, 7 all pro first teams, and then 9 Pro Bowls.
He was an all-decade guy too, I believe.
All decade 70s and 80s, and he made the 35 and 50 anniversary Pats team.
Yep.
I believe he's going to he's in the hall already. Too.
Yeah, he is. Yep.
So on offense, who is the Patriots' point leader?
Gostkowski.
Yeah, I think it's Gostkowski.
Yeah,
it is. He's not even there's no one even close.
Vinatieri is probably second.
Yeah. Okay. Here, good. Stephen has 1775 in points total. Vinatieri is in second at 1158.
Yeah.
Not even close.
No.
I just found that to be a wild stat.
Yeah, no, it's
Gostkowski was just about automatic all those years, and Vinatieri too. Very blessed with kickers over the past 2 decades.
Well, Vinatieri made that one kick in the Snow Bowl. It's like no one knows how the hell he actually made that kick.
He probably doesn't even know.
You know, but hey, he drained it.
That was the
day that got a bit of a different legacy.
Yeah, definitely.
That was the day the tuck rule came into play.
The exact yes.
Gostkowski missed in big games.
Belichick backed off using Gostkowski in some of those spots instead of if Vinatieri was there, he would have been in there without thought. You know, there was no concern with.
Well, in the first Giants Super Bowl, they had like 4th and 12 at like, I want to say like the 31-yard line, and they fucking went for it.
Yeah,
and they didn't get it. Kind of a forgotten play.
Yeah, 4th and 12 is pretty stupid to go on anyway. So,
yeah.
You know, but Belichick would debate that it's because of field position and, you know, are you going to drop a punt in or are you going to kick it out of bounds or, you know, whatever reason he would have. But overall, Vinatieri was far more trustworthy, and it seems from a fan that Belichick had far more trust in Vinatieri than he did in Gostkowski, for sure.
Gostkowski was never the same after he missed that extra point in Denver.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the Patriots' own – the Patriots put in – like they were heavily in favor of moving the extra point back.
Yep.
And it kind of bit us. Well, it did bite us.
That happened early too, and I remember saying, "Oh, that's going to come back to bite him."
Yep.
No way to bite him in a championship game like this, and it did.
A lot of rule changes were put in during the Pats' 20-year run. You know, Bill Polian involved and stuff like that. It was like, Jesus Christ, guys. It's like every time he kicked Bill Polian's ass, he was like, well, they shouldn't be allowed to do this anymore. They shouldn't allowed to be doing this anymore. When Ty Law picked off Peyton 3 times, he was like, nope, they grabbed. You can't let that happen anymore. So then they had to change that. And it was just like every fucking time.
Jumping over the line on
you can't hurdle the line and stuff. It's like every time that they beat that team, Polian was like, all right, we got to change that one too. You know, he did it countless times. It seemed like it was every year that he would do something like that. And it's like, or you could just learn how to beat them without having to change the rules. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I hear you guys. I hear you. We ready to move on to some defense?
Yep.
Yeah.
I went Richard Seymour as my defensive lineman. Hard to beat that one.
Yeah.
Pat's Hall of Fame, regular Hall of Fame, 3 Super Bowls. Yeah, it's hard.
There's some good ones in this category, but I did go with Seymour as well. I was a little torn, but I ended up on him.
Yeah, I'd Seymour number 1.
I had Seymour number 1 too, and it's tough when you pick an interior defense too because the stats never there. You know, it's always like, well, what did they do as far as when you watch them? They don't have these, ridiculous stats like an edge guy does or anything like that. But even being an interior guy, he still had, a pretty sick amount of sacks and fumble recoveries, stuffs. Like he was in on every play, it seemed, when he was playing, when you were watching. He's a bad man.
Huge.
He's enormous. He was enormous. My second behind him, which it wasn't really a comparison. I had Seymour the whole time, but you gotta love Will Fork.
Yeah.
Yep, he's right there.
But you had guys like Ty Warren and stuff like that come through there in that stretch, man. They were so solid for so long. I mean, you had who's the absolutely humongous guy? He had to weigh 400 pounds.
Ted Washington.
Yep, him. It seemed like every year there was someone that they had on that line that just was an
Alan
Branch.
I loved Alan Branch.
Yeah, it was an absolute force. So, but yeah, Seymour, I mean, Hall of Famer and probably one of the most dominant defensive linemen of his run, while he was here. So I went with him as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys are also on the 35 and the 50-year anniversary team. So it's hard to like find arguments about any of that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I went Teddy Bruschi and Willie McGinnis as my linebackers.
I picked 2 middles and 2 outside. I couldn't really just settle on 2 when you're talking about.
This was the position I had a real hard time narrowing it down.
I went with Bruschi and Gerard Mayo in the middle, and I had Andre Tippett and Willie McGinnis. 4 names I really, really liked. I mean, McGinnis felt like the turn of the century for the Patriots, before Brady even got here.
Yep.
Bruschi, obviously, for it. They don't have to be mentioned what he meant to the team for Bruschi. I'm just an absolute bruiser.
Bruschi, big game, big plays, heart and soul of the team. Can't not have him there. And I had Tippett as well. Hall of Famer, put up ridiculous sack numbers for a few years there. I had Mike Vrabel as well. Mike Vrabel, another guy, big games, big moments.
He could have went on offense too, right?
Yeah, touchdowns in 2 Super Bowls.
That's got to be a record.
Yeah, how many guys have caught touchdowns in multiple Super Bowls in general?
Well, I mean, didn't he have like 10 total career touchdowns or something too? Like,
I think 10 with the Patriots. I think he had like 1 or 2 with Kansas City as well.
Yeah. I went with Tippett and McGinnis. But there's a lot of guys, man. I mean, Steve Nelson was there. I mean, they weren't very good when he was there. Besides, the 80s. Vrabel, Bruschi.
I had Hightower too.
Yeah, Colvin, Hightower. I mean, there was a lot. They had a lot. Brian Cox. They had a bunch. But McGinnis was, I think, the first pick that the Crafts made. I think. And he was just a mainstay for a long time. I wish he never went to Cleveland, but that happens around here. They always kind of ship him off. But Tippett was a lifetime Pat, 100 sacks. Pretty dominant, Hall of Fame. Yeah, he was a pretty dominant player. So I went with Tippett McGinnis for my 2, but I can understand the Bruschi and the Vrabels as well. Definitely.
I like Roman Pfeiffer too.
Another one.
Yeah.
That's when, you know what I mean? Because it's funny because a lot of times the way they made their roster, they constructed the roster, it was like there wasn't all these standout players. They weren't. There was a lot of guys that weren't in for the 80% of the game. They were in there for 35% of the game, and then the guy that filled in for them were in for 35% of the game, and they were interchangeable to the point where it was such a stacked lineup that you didn't have to worry about substitutions. You could kind of just like, we'll take him out and then throw him in. He's better on pass coverage. He's better on the run. And you could just, but there was not a lot of drop off when they did that. And that's pretty rare that they were able to do that for so long. I think a lot of teams tried to do that and it didn't work as well as it did up here for whatever reason, if it's coaching or just guys willing to accept that kind of role. They pulled on a lot of veterans late in their career that were willing to just get in there and play when they were asked to play, like Pfeiffer and Colvin and those guys, and Brian Cox. But
that's a good one too.
But overall, I mean, I think for me, the Tippett was a standout because he was a lifetime guy, Hall of Fame guy. And Guinness might as well have been a lifetime guy because you didn't hear much when he went to Cleveland.
Yeah, it was only there 1 year, right?
Yeah, I think his Cleveland days are not referenced very often. I know that.
Who, Tippett?
No,
Willie
McGinnis.
No, not mentioned very much at all.
Nope.
Tyler, who'd you go with again?
McGinnis and Tippett, and Teddy Bruschi was in there as well.
I just remember Teddy Bruschi playing with his kids during the Super Bowl, and that just makes me always think of when he had his kids down on the field running around, and they showed it. I don't know.
He had that pick in the snow, and it was like up here. It's like an iconic picture, and he's like chucking the snow up over his head and stuff.
That was right after Brady pooch punted them down.
Yeah, he had some huge moments when he played, and then he had that stroke, and no one ever thought what the hell was going to happen after that.
He was never really the same guy.
No. Which, is fully expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a good player
anymore. How come nobody pooch punts?
Because they all sports.
I used to love
changed.
that.
Yeah,
Cordell Stewart used to do it all the time.
Big Ben did it too.
Oh, that's right, he did.
Randall Cunningham.
Oh yeah,
that's the OG right there. In high school, we actually had a play called Randall Cunningham where we put.
Oh no way!
Yeah,
he was a freak.
Yeah,
Randall Cunningham was a freak.
Yeah, he's playing quarterback. He could have very well played punter his whole career. He was no joke at that. He had a boom on that leg.
Well, we'll get to find out on Sports Talking with tomorrow if they went Randall Cunningham or Donovan McNabb.
Oh, you doing Eagles tomorrow night?
I am doing Eagles tomorrow night.
Are the BSing guys on there with you?
Ryan's coming on.
Nice.
So if you want to stop on and say hi, Tom, you're more than welcome to. You know how to get in.
I do.
All right, so we got linebackers. This was the fun. The four defensive backs was interesting to me to choose.
It was crazy.
Now, me being the outsider, naturally I'm going to go with the kid from Aliquippa, and that's Ty Law. That's one of them for sure.
Yeah, Ty Law's one too.
Yeah, Ty Law.
Hometown kid, at least for us.
Yeah,
Revis is from there too, right?
I was on that.
Yeah, Revis is from here too. He was ridiculous too, obviously.
Is there something in the water down in Aliquippa, or what the hell's up? Or they just breed Hall of Fame corners?
They are ridiculous. They're a 1A school that plays like up in 5A every year. They have such a level. They dominate just every single year. I have no idea what it is. Homegrown too. They don't recruit anyone or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, like people go to play for Aliquippa to get the hell out of Aliquippa.
Yeah.
Nothing against Aliquippa, but that's just what it seems like. I mean, they have what? They have at least 6. I think 3 are in the hall, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, whatever they're doing down there, they're doing right stuff. I went Rodney Harrison as one of my other line defensive backs.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
Rodney too.
He's on there too.
Yep, I got him as well.
I think Rodney might have been the best player total on the 03-04 teams.
Yeah, he was an animal.
He was just insane.
He brought a lot of he's mean. People thought, he was being accused of being dirty a lot. I call it opportunistic, I guess. I mean, he could absolutely lay you out, but I mean, 30 sacks, 30 picks. I don't think anyone else has that. If anyone, maybe one other guy. I don't think anyone does. Yeah, he was awesome. I mean, I liked him when he was on the Chargers, which was weird because I didn't like the Chargers. But when they got him, I was like, oh, I can see this. And you got to remember that Malloy, he was kind of sacrificed to have Rodney here, They tried to keep him together, I think, for a season, if that. And it was just like, it wasn't going to work having two guys that play the exact same way. And I think that they made the right call overall, even though I loved Loya Malloy. But Rodney Harrison was an absolute beast. I loved him. So, yes, I have him as well.
Just big games, big moments, absolute beast. He had, I think he had 6 picks in the 6 playoff games in 03-04. And he had the pick 6 against Pittsburgh. He had
Sure did.
2 picks in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
He was just a monster. And he was team All-Pro in 04, which is like the golden era of safeties nearly, if you look around the league.
And he had the best coverage in the history of a Super Bowl on a catch by Tyree. You couldn't have covered him better. And he still caught that fucking ball. Like, still to this day, I can't believe that he actually caught that ball. But he was a fantastic player. They don't even have guys like to play like him anymore. The rules have changed so much that those guys can't play like that, which is unfortunate. I enjoyed watching people get lit up, like the Ronnie Lotts of the world and stuff like that. Steve Atwater, Joey Brown, those guys. I'll watch that all day as opposed to, these guys that don't want to hit. They just, look for the ball. They just want picks. I'd rather a guy that can absolutely bury you like Cam Chancellor did. I like safeties like that, and that's what Rodney Harrison could do. He could cover and lay you out, which I appreciated.
I'll still take my safety, and that's Troy Polamalu.
Oh, he was awesome too.
He was a monster.
He was awesome too. Absolutely.
Remember when he jumped over the line for that sack?
Against the Titans.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Always had to know where he was on the field.
Do you guys feel the loss of Jackson's going to hurt the secondary this year?
It seems like it already has, because they look like garbage so far. I think that they've tried. They keep trying to just, all right, let these guys go and we'll fill them in with undrafted players, because J.C. Jackson was undrafted. Malcolm Butler was undrafted. But sometimes...
Was Jonathan Jones drafted? Or was he an undrafted guy too?
I think he was undrafted too. So instead of drafting these kids, first round talent like the Sauce Gardners and this kid Elam from Florida, they back off it and they pick these kids later like Joe Juwan Williams, who's cut, second round pick, gone. Like they're taking shots over like jumping ahead and overvaluing these guys 2 or 3 rounds ahead of time, thinking that they're smarter than everyone else. And the majority of these guys aren't panning out, so sometimes you got to draft the best guy. And actually, yes, is he going to cost you money to keep eventually? Yes, he will. Who gives a shit?
I really thought you guys were going to trade up for Williams from out of Notre Dame.
That's what I want.
before
kid
the
hit.
Ravens took him. I thought
Yeah,
for sure that was Bill Belichick's guy right there.
Because that was that Kyle Hamilton? Is that what that one was? The safety?
The kid out of Notre Dame, yes. The
Yeah, Kyle
safety.
Hamilton.
Kyle Hamilton, yeah. I mean, of course the Ravens got him. Because the Ravens are amazing at drafting defensive plays. You know? Pittsburgh's amazing drafting receivers. It's like a factory. They just keep getting guys. And the Pats can't do that to save their life. You know? It's like Pittsburgh every single year. Every year, there's another kid that comes up.
Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool.
Since I was a kid,
right?
They've had someone, one or two every year, like every single year. And for 30 years, I can go back and think about the guys that Pittsburgh drafted at wide receiver. I can't tell you 3 that the Pats have, like, that they take a shot at. Everyone says Julian Edelman. He's like, he was a fucking quarterback in the 7th round from Kent State. He did not draft a wide receiver with Julian Edelman.
Well, you guys did get Damian Harris back today and Jacoby Meyer. How much of a boost is that for opening week?
Well, you would like to think it would be. You'd like to think it would help. It all depends if that line can actually get this new, scheme together, because it seems like from listening to the guys up here that follow the team closely, none of them know what they're doing.
And I'm not exactly sure if they're going to go to that zone scheme you're talking about in the regular season. Seems like they're trying things out in the preseason. I hope they really don't, because it's not their game.
Did you see how poor it looks?
Yeah, it doesn't look good at all. They're getting stuffed at the line. They're losing yardage. There's no chunk plays that you see in the past. There's no domination on the O-line. They look lost. They're not getting and reaching to the second level. Just plays being busted at the line of scrimmage. You can't waste downs like that in the NFL. It's too precious.
It's too precious of the fact that you have a second-year quarterback that you drafted in the first round. Why would you change a scheme going into his second season? Bad enough. You have these two jackasses running the offense like they've never really done offense either. So you're putting a lot of this on Mac Jones, which I don't understand.
I think you eventually have to get to that point. You eventually get to that point with a guy like Mac Jones, but I don't think you force it into his hands in year 2. I'm not sure he's ready for all that. Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility on his shoulders.
Where he's teaching the so-called coordinators what the offense is?
Yeah, I get that. I get he was good last year, and he's a really smart quarterback, but there's something to be said here for an NFL quarterback in year 2 just completely Tom Bradying an offense, just because he did it for the past 10, 15 years. You can't just give it right to another guy who seems like Tom Brady.
Well, isn't there a lot of offensive coordinator controversy going on right now too?
We don't have one.
Yeah,
I would say that that's a problem.
Well, they don't have a defensive one either. So if that helps.
Yeah. I think Patricia's going to call the plays, which everyone keeps trying to walk it back. And McDaniels, he started on defense, I don't know. I don't think Patricia's much of an offensive mind. I know he's a smart guy, but he'll have to impress me with some play calling.
He knows a lot about high number of yards. He's seen a lot of it on defense.
Yeah.
Those days in Detroit were bad for him.
Yeah, they were bad for Judge in New York too, and he brought both of them on to run things. I don't really understand why. No one understands why.
So we got. I know. I got off track there. Started talking about Jackson leaving, and that led into the whole conversation. But what other two did you guys all do on the defensive backside?
I
went with Gilmore and McCourty.
I got Gilmore and McCourty too. Gilmore, when he was in his prime, there's a reason he was the defensive player of the year. Absolutely untouchable when you threw his way. Matter of fact, no one really ever did throw his way.
I went with Mike.
One of the few big money signings who just really panned out for 90% of it. The end was a little ugly.
Mm-hmm.
No, anyway, Tom, did you go Claiborne?
I went Claiborne and Mike Haynes.
I went McCourty and Claiborne.
I had McCourty there as well, but I went with Haynes and Claiborne overall.
All right, so I don't know. This team seemed pretty stacked. Obviously, you like them, you picked them. What other things you guys looking for the season from the Patriots?
Man,
Brendan, you guys go first.
I think there's a lot of things to be looking for at this team, and I think it all starts on the offensive side of the ball. I think it's as advertised on the offensive side of the ball, but an underlying story on the defensive side is the linebackers. You got Jude on, but you got like second-year guys and third-year guys. Anthony Jennings has had a pretty good preseason. I'm pretty interested to see what he's going to do. And at the other middle linebacker spot opposite Jawan Bentley, I think a story to look at there is going to be who takes over that role. I know they were big on Cameron McGrone. I haven't heard a whole lot about him this preseason. That Tave guy, I'm not even sure how to pronounce his first name. He's been getting some looks.
They've been ripping him to shreds all weekend.
And then Raekwon McMillan, who I think is going to start opposite Bentley. I know they got a ton of different packages they'll use, but that's kind of a story on defense. You know, aside from their safeties or their defensive backs, the linebacker position, there's a couple of spots that I'll be interested in. Mac Wilson's another name. He's kind of impressed me with the speed aspect.
Brandon?
I'm not really sure what to expect from this team. It's been such a weird offseason. Like we don't have coordinators. We've a lot of guys left. I'm really just hoping to see. I mean, it sounds vague, but I'm really just hoping to see, like, you know, Mac Jones starts to take another step. Some of the young guys like Barmore just take another step. I'd like to see, like, just a direction for the team, sort of. I feel the last 2 years we've just kind of been, like, floating by, like, not even really going for – I mean, like, obviously it's a rebuild, but, you know, I guess I'd just like to see, like, a set direction where we could see, like, where we know what we have and kind of, like, look forward to where we're going, I suppose.
Okay, so we'll get into that. Tom, what do you think?
I think the big concerns are that where they didn't address the linebacker spot, kind of like Tyler was saying, that's a concern big time, because what they start to do, which I always hate when teams do this, where they don't draft a position in need, but they rely on the year prior's draft based on injuries. So, like, yeah, they drafted McGrone in the 5th round. They drafted this kid, and they redshirted this kid. And then they used the whole thing of, well, they're coming back from injury, so this is actually the draft of them now, because we didn't have to draft that position because we did last year. I hate that. Yes, you did. There were plenty of kids that you could have got at the linebacker position, which you didn't. I mean, ample. The linebacker position was
How about
loaded.
3rd round?
What's that?
How about Nakobe Dean? He lasted just about half the draft.
Well, He was the one that everyone was like, why don't they just get Nakobe Dean? And you kept seeing these kids drop into their spot, and then they didn't take them. And I mean, drafting the offensive lineman in the 1st round, which is not surprising, to be honest. But no good words about him so far either. So, I mean, when you know that you have needs, if you are going to draft at that position, you better make sure you nail it. And they didn't, you know, so now you're reliant on kids coming back off ACL tears because you got them late or undrafted and filling the spots that you needed because you're letting these guys walk. And then you're not getting any. You trade away your best offensive lineman and then draft a 1 Division A kid in the 1st round, and everyone thought he was a 4th round, and they keep overshooting, and none of these guys are hitting is the problem. If you find these diamonds in the roughs like used to happen, they don't anymore. Not very often. Douglas seemed like he was pretty good find. You know, he was a 1 AA guy, but he hasn't looked very impressive this preseason either. So there's a lot of concerns. The offense, what are they going to do with it? Mac Jones looks like he's pissed. He's whipping helmets already in the preseason, chucking his wristband. Like he's already fed up in the fucking preseason.
You think that's because there's no coordinator?
I think it's because there's no coordinator, or the people that are so-called de facto coordinators are fucking clueless. So you have a young kid in his second season the offense he played in last year, he played pretty fucking good. And you're going to change the whole script on the kid and make these guys that never played in that kind of system before change on a dime. And the one guy that did play in the system was Kendrick Bourne when he played in San Fran under Shanahan, and you bench him and then threat to trade him. It's like, what are you doing? Wouldn't you want as many guys that's ever played that fucking system before as opposed to either benching or trading them away? I don't understand any of what's going on. Like, and up here you hear, well, that's why you're not Bill Belichick, and Belichick we trust, all this fucking shit. It's like, dude, Tom Brady is not here anymore. Belichick could fucking make mistakes like that before, and Brady could fix it or cover it up. You don't have the luxury of fucking up like that anymore because Brady is not here. Look at what this team has done since Brady has left. Look what Brady has done, and look what the Pats have done.
So are you saying
the reason why they are in this spot right now? Because he could cover up all these mistakes, just about all of them. And now they don't have anyone to do that. So it's going to be very interesting to see if, one, they stick with this ridiculous change in offense, which I can't believe it. Like Tyler said, like, I can't believe they will. But now you have 2 weeks to just switch it back up with coaches that have never run that one either. I don't know what the hell to think.
And I think
but at the same time, would I be surprised if they came out opening week and rolled? No. Just because you never know with them. All I know is what I see. It looks like shit right now.
do you feel the Dolphins are going to be winners at week 1 or the Patriots are going to win week 1?
I think if the Patriots play the way that they've played through the preseason, then the Dolphins will probably win. They don't like playing the Dolphins ever anyway. But at the same time, would I be surprised if the Pats won 44-7? No. I don't know. Everything is up in the air. Like it could land on either side, like flip a coin.
that game in Miami.
I think so.
I feel like I haven't seen the Pats go down to Miami and win in like
Forever.
6 years. It feels like it's been so long since I've seen them go
Forever.
down and win.
But I mean, I just think that there's so many questions, so many corner, linebacker, offensive scheme, offensive line. You got those guys are pissed that you swapped him, Nikhil. I mean, the fat kid from Georgia there, that he's pissed that you put him back on the other side. Then Trent Brown's mad because he's not getting the money and all this crap. It's like it seems like there's so much different stuff going on at once that I find it hard to believe that they can put it all together within the 2 weeks of starting the season based on what they've looked like and the moves that have been made up to this point.
We'll have to see. I think there's a big difference between evaluation of players in the preseason and actually preparing to try and win a football game in the regular season.
Of course.
That's the one shining light I kind of have on it. On a slightly more positive note, and believe me, I have a lot of negative tones about how I feel about the Patriots right now because I think they are screwing up a lot of things. But that's the one thing I'll say. Evaluation versus actually preparing to win a game. And that's the one thing I'll kind of look at as opposed to just how they performed in the preseason because I think there is a pretty major difference in that.
Oh, I think there's a big difference, but I think what they've done leading up to even the preseason game started, how they've built this roster, and you let J.C. Jackson walk, but you didn't replace him necessarily.
Yeah. That'll be interesting too. That you meant we talked about J.C. Jackson. I would have loved to have kept him. I was a huge J.C. Jackson guy, even more than Gilmore. After Gilmore won Defensive Player of the Year, I thought Jackson was incredible, and he only got better. At the same time, I knew for a fact we were not going to bring him back.
Oh yeah, I knew that too.
I mean, if you've been a Pats fan the past how many years, you knew we weren't bringing him back.
Right.
But that's with that said, it'll be interesting to see what Jonathan Jones does because I think they're going to move him to the outside. And they're going to let Marcus Jones ride on the slot for a little bit here, and maybe Miles Bryant. I'd maybe rather see more of Jones because I think Bryant kind of got cooked towards the stretch run there last year. He got absolutely torched by Isaiah McKenzie just every time we played the Bills those last 2 games. So I'd rather see Jones. That'll be interesting to see. Mills is kind of the number 1 guy, but Jones on the outside, that'll be a story.
Going up against the competition at wide receiver in the AL East is not going to be easy. And if you have guys that you're moving from the slot to the outside that have never really played the outside, but now they have to cover Tyreek Hill or they have to cover what the fuck is the kid's name?
Jalen Waddle.
Waddle,
Hill, Gesicki.
They're everywhere. Like
Cedric Wilson Jr.
They're every team has good offense in the AL East. The quarterback's not so great, in my opinion, but
they do enough to beat them every time with RPOs.
What's the buzz with Tua so far? How's he been looking with Hill?
What is he? 11 for 16, 158 passer rating so far, or something. I mean, it's only preseason, and teams aren't really running defense or just getting a feel for their guys. I get it, but I mean that's still good numbers to be putting up in any football game. It doesn't matter.
Something about 2 of them. His first throw to Hill was a completion for like 50 yards, but he could have had him for a touchdown. It was like a 50-yard hitch that he ran, basically, because the ball was underthrown. That ain't the Mahomes bazooka arm that Hill was used to. So, I don't know. Hill seems to torch not Hill. Tua seems to torch the Pats every time they play with that RPO bullshit that they just absolutely cannot stop, and they try to maybe beat that with some speed at the linebacker position this year. But so we'll see. If he was able to RPO beat every team every single game, he'd be phenomenal.
I'm not a huge Tua guy, but he keeps beating the Pats.
Yeah.
They make him look like the best quarterback in the league, despite what the other 30 teams think.
Exactly.
And the Dolphins did pick up an actual running back too, with a name anyway, in Chase Edmonds.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Miami did do a lot of offensive moves. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, you can only hope that there's big things coming because of what they have, but they still have to put it together. Like you could have a full-time baseball lineup, all stars, but you get that one pitcher that just comes in and strikes everyone out. You really don't have a good team,
right? That's why they play. That's why.
Brandon, what do you think on this season?
I think it's just going to be another I think they're going to be decent. I'm thinking 9-8, 10-7. By the end of the year, we're not going to be booking trips for the Super Bowl. We're not going to be thinking like that. I think it's just going to be another year of hoping guys develop.
I think what makes it really tough is how good the AFC is too.
Teams fall off though. On paper, it looks good, but I still think we're going to be right 9-8, 10-7.
Yeah, I think they'll be floating around 500, within a couple games either way. But the rest of the conference got better, and they didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't.
You're not getting better; you're getting worse.
3 teams from the AFC West could make the playoffs.
I mean, Devontae Adams went from NFC to AFC. Russell Wilson went from AFC to AFC. It seemed like all these guys went in. Matt Ryan, not that I love Matt Ryan, but he went NFC to AFC. All these guys went and they changed conferences.
Don't be Matt Ryan has a better pinpoint accuracy than Carson Wentz, so Pittman should be a dangerous pick in fantasy this year.
Yeah, Ryan is far better than Carson Wentz. Sure. And that's
I was just saying, I was just reading a stat earlier. I think it was Matt Ryan was 85% throwing his passes over 25 yards or something. So, and Carson Wentz had trouble getting there. So,
I'm still pissed about that game. That was kind of where the season changed. I felt that Indy game.
The Indy game last year.
Yeah.
I mean, when they just couldn't stop Jonathan Taylor.
Nope.
And again, no one could.
That was a winnable game.
Yeah, seriously, nobody could.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
that was
nice.
a disappointing game.
That's my fantasy running back.
I think the most frustrating game last year was probably that Bills one in Foxborough where, dude, every single play, crosser to McKenzie, crosser to McKenzie, crosser to McKenzie. It felt like every play. Could not stop him. That's what I meant. Miles Brown was getting torched. I don't think they punted once. And I was like, if we get Buffalo in the first round, we're screwed. So that was a big focal point. They got to find a way to beat teams that are better than them on paper.
Wasn't that the weather? Wasn't that the weather game?
That was the game they ran every single play and beat them, which was kind of bullshit.
Yeah, that was like a monsoon or blizzard or whatever the hell was going on up there, right?
It was so windy up there.
The windstorm, yes.
Kick or nothing like that. That game was so crazy. I actually saw a better on that game. He bet the under on every single player and won like $6,000 on it or something like that. I was like, damn, I should have thought of that.
That's
We got
crazy.
sports gambling in Massachusetts now. We're coming down.
People are pumped.
You can lose money on the Pats like I do now every year.
It took them long enough to get that going up here. Jesus, what the fight that was. My God. Just let the people spend their money if they want, man. They're going to New Hampshire or Rhode Island to do it. Take the money here.
So, Tyler, are you going to fly up to go to any games this year?
And my buddy just moved. You know Colby.
Yeah.
He just moved to East Village. And I wanted to go for the Jets game, but he's going to go to an Ohio State game, so I'm not going to make it up for any. I'm trying to get to a game in Foxborough, though. All my family lives up there, so try and find a game. Maybe the what's it called? One of the Bills games. We're a short drive from Buffalo too, and the Bills tickets are incredibly cheap for whatever reason.
I'd love to go to a game there.
And that's only a 3.5, 4-hour drive up there, and cheap. The playoff tickets last year for that game in Buffalo, the day of, I could have bought a ticket for $29. So
Wow.
ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I'm not really sure what makes that happen, but $29. So
I want to go to Lambeau.
I've
Lambeau
always
would be
wanted to go
nice.
to Lambeau.
Pats are playing in Lambeau this year. It's only like once every 8 years.
I was talking to Brad the other day, my buddy Brad, about the Lambeau trip. He's like, "You think we might go out there?" I'm like, "When? How much?
Yeah.
How much
what is
it?
that? I think that's week 3.
How
It's
much?
early
is that?
enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's like October 2nd or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll still be a fun game to go to.
Oh, yeah.
Just to go there. I mean, what the hell else you gonna go to fucking Wisconsin for? You know. So
Miller Lite, buddy.
yeah, I guess. I'm not,
No,
I'm
you're not a
sure
Miller.
I'm
You're,
tracking- I'm
that'd
not
be
sure I'm
enough.
tracking to Wisconsin for it specifically, though. I can go to the Packy for that.
No, I think it'd be fun. You guys been to Foxborough?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plenty of times.
Tom?
Yes.
I was just my buddy called me last week and he was like, "Do you want to go to the game tonight?" And it was a preseason game, and at first I was like, not really. And he's like, "I got it. Like, we're gonna be in a suite." So I was like, "Fuck yeah, whatever, I'll go." it was awesome. It was like it was the Sports 98.5, the radio station up here. It was their suite. He got it through work or something. It was pretty nice setup. I'm trying to weasel my way into maybe a real game.
That's a nice hookup.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm going to the Ravens game.
I was looking at the Vegas one too. It's the week before Christmas in Vegas.
Yeah.
It'll be a party.
Yeah, I think I'm going to the Ravens. I think that was the consensus.
Tyler, I figured you would want to go to more games knowing you could still jump on a plane and go.
I know. I'd love to. So damn expensive. Maybe I wanted to go to the game in Pittsburgh, but the Steelers home opener, but it's like all sold out, and the tickets are like $700, $800. It's their home opener. I kind of figured, why pay that money when I can have the comfort of my own TV and
Yeah, exactly.
food and beer and my grass right here for free.
Yeah, sometimes you got to make the better decision. how fun it would be, but then you're like $700 for one
Yeah,
ticket.
$700. Oof.
Yeah, then you got to pay for the parking, the traffic down there, and be terrorized because I'm a Pats fan. That ain't worth it.
No, definitely not. Well, boys, we got anything else to say? We're a little over an hour. Anything else to say for this year? For anything else? Tyler, you're going to give a shout out to your co-ed team winning the championship.
Yeah, shout out to the hit squad.
Nice.
Yeah, they worked hard at that. Congratulations. I wish you would have brought the trophy. That would have been badass.
Yeah, you got to get Esper on whenever you do the Raiders.
Yeah, we're working on it. He's a busy man,
Yeah.
from what he says.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to see that little trophy. It looked nice in the pictures.
Pretty big.
But Tyler, are you on Twitter?
Yeah.
You want to give a shout out? Let people know how to follow you.
Give me the follow. It's Tyler_Gallant_21. Pretty simple. All lowercase.
Tyler_. All right. Brendan?
I'm at BJOD94 on Twitter. All lowercase.
All right. Tom?
Yeah, at Tom and Quincy and at Corner Booth 617, either one. Most of the stuff here is on the Corner Booth with Adam. So, yeah, no, I mean, we have a good time doing these. Like to hang with you guys again, whatever topics you guys are interested in. I know Brendan is, like myself, mostly Boston sports, but, we can talk about anything, to be honest. So if there's anything you guys ever want to reach out and have a conversation about, just let me know. I'll be willing to sit down with you guys.
Well, Tyler's the New England guy.
Here you go.
Yeah. I'm kind of odd. I'm an oddball. I'm a Patriots fan, but I'm also a Pirate fan, Penguin fan, mostly Pittsburgh except for the football. I'm just a diehard Patriots fan.
All right. Any upcoming Pat stuff through the season, we'll just give you a shout if you want to come back on.
Yeah, absolutely. I am always willing to talk because no one really wants to talk about him here.
Love it.
All right, guys. Well, I am Sports Talking It. You can find me at Talking Sports With. And we had a good time. We are going to do Tom's closing out for the Corner Booth 617. And if you guys want to stick around a little bit and BS afterwards, we can do that. But we're going to clear you all out of here. And everybody, thank you for coming on. It was fun. And we will talk to you later.
Later.
Peace.
Yeah.
I'm having a really, really hard time tuning in to watch what the hell they got putting out there. It's disgusting.
And that's a message that they should heed. Because Tom, if you listen with any regularity to this, to whether it's Felger and Maz, or Baseball Hour, just 98.5 Sports, Tom's like one of our great callers. I love his accent. He's like the embodiment of like the old school Sox fan. You lose that guy, or you start to tune him out, you got real problems.